Today, we're making G5 Dreams Come True in CFB 26 Dynasty. I'm a little bit see-through, but I'm not changing my shirt, so just deal with it. Okay, so we have had quite a few videos in a row where no G5 teams have made the college football playoff, and in some cases not even been ranked. So today, instead of a Freaky Friday video, what we're trying to do is solve the problem of the G5. So I've made a couple observations. One is that Memphis, Tulane, North Texas, and Boise State are generally our best chance to make a college football playoff from the G5. UNLV in some cases as well can do that. What I've also realized is that the ranking system, I believe, focuses more on star rating than they do on in connection with the record they do on anything else. So I've tried to both lower the ranking, lower the overalls, as well as raise the star levels for the conferences that we have here. So we've moved Boise State over to the Pac-12, so they have two slightly harder teams, the Oregon State and Washington State. I think Oregon State's a little bit overranked. I don't know if College Football 26 watched this season. And I've also put UConn in here to give them some more fodder. So there are some low-ranked teams like half-star Kent State, 1.5-star UConn, but you get two, 2.5, and 3-star teams that they have to play there and move them away from the more highly ranked Mountain West teams. UNLV gets some of the leftovers there. There are some more highly rated teams there, but UNLV tends to succeed maybe in the second season. So they've kept San Jose State, so they have a little bit of help there. Maybe we'll move someone over into their field. We have moved North Texas into the MAC. North Texas tends to get better later on, so we wanted to put them in a place where they can get those wins later on. Anyway, they're probably all going to have to go for a 12-0 season. If you get a 12-0 season, you're probably going to be ranked in the top 12, so that's kind of what we're looking for. One of the other things that gets in the way of the G5 is Notre Dame. So we've moved Notre Dame into the Big Ten, so hopefully they are not stealing one of those G5 spots, and they have to actually play some tough competition in here. Maybe it'll lower the rest of the Big Ten as well. We moved Tulane and North Texas out of the American to give Memphis the rest of the American, which I think is pretty good. They have some of the higher star-rated teams in the G5, so that's what we're looking for there. And then we have moved Tulane into Conference USA, which has very low star ratings, very low ratings. It's by far the worst conference, but we've moved Purdue down into Conference USA as well to give them a little bit of the boost in the star ratings while not being a better team than Tulane. So I think these are some of the moves that we have been able to do. We also got rid of conferences, our divisions in the Sun Belt. JMU sometimes makes a run toward the playoff. They'd be the most likely of these teams, but got away from that just so that there's not anything silly that keeps them out of a conference championship game or something of that sort. So this is going to be what we start with. The whole goal of the video is to get as many G5 playoff teams as possible. We did this with the G5 All-Star Conference, which worked pretty well. We got a G5 team each and every season. This time, I want to see if we can get at least one G5 team from different conferences each and every season. So we're going to go with Memphis. I think that they have a chance in the American to make it. We're going to sim to the CFP, first CFP rankings, and see where we're at. So Memphis is 5-3, not a great start, but they are pulling in 3-star recruits and in battles for 4 stars. So let's look for our G5 teams. Okay, so we don't have anybody in the G5 rated in the top 25 in the CFP. Let's see who's kind of around it. BYU is number 1 in the Coaches Poll. Let's see who's kind of around it. So Tulane was in the Coaches Poll last week. So what happened with Tulane? And then also had UNLV also receiving votes. Boise State is number 25 in the Coaches Poll. They lost to San Diego State. Can't be losing that game. Can't be losing that game if we want to get it. Okay. All right. But I did see the CFP bracket. It looks like Boise State is projected to be in out of the G5. So kind of a pity invite, but we want to see some teams actually getting ranked to get in there. But this is, of course, a projection. BYU is one of the best teams in the country. So interesting. Okay. So hopefully we can get some wins here from BYU. I want to kind of see what the Tulane loss was. Okay. So USF and Memphis are at the top of the American. Conference USA. Who did Tulane lose to? If it's Purdue, I'm going to be pissed. It was Sam Houston by a point. They beat Memphis at the beginning of the season. They were well on their way. They lose to Sam Houston. They have the Purdue game coming up. A lot of road games here. That's frustrating. Okay. So Tulane also has a chance at making it in. What is the other one? North Texas is doing pretty well. Buffalo probably beat them in conference, right? Yeah, Buffalo beat them by 2 last week. Okay, so the idea is working pretty well so far. If these teams find a way to pull it together and not get these stupid stub your toe losses, it's working pretty well. So let's sim to the conference championship games and see if we have anybody that's on the brink. Okay, so Memphis is in the American Conference Championship game. UTSA, who I was kind of like, do we move them around? Because they do have pretty high ratings for a G5. They are number 22 in the country. So maybe with their victory, they'll make it in. And that was not one of the teams that I was expecting. Let's see what these other conference championship games look like. So UTSA is the ranked team. Tulane is ranked. North Texas is ranked. UNLV is ranked. Boise State is ranked. Boise State is definitely on the cusp of even just getting a top 12. So Boise State is in control there if they can beat Oregon State. They probably have the toughest opponent, though. San Diego State's pretty good, too. Okay, so most of the teams that we were looking for have done at least part of what we wanted to. North Texas, of course, lost to Buffalo earlier on in the season. Tulane looks like they picked up another loss during this season. Otherwise, they probably would have been ranked a little bit higher. Other than this, okay. One thing I would like people to comment below is like sliders. Like if someone can kind of give me an idea of like how to fix, I want to dive more into this for these videos, but how to like manipulate the sim a little bit more with the sliders, that would be helpful for kind of outcome. So make sure you like and subscribe and let me know how to fix the sliders below, or if you have like a place to send me to look that stuff up. I don't know what happened in the American Championship game yet, but Memphis just signed a 4-star running back, which is pretty good for the G5. So there's a 2-star, but a 4-star running back is pretty damn good. They're in a running for some other 4-stars too. So Memphis might be coming up by the end of this video. They did end up losing the American Championship game. So UTSA is the American Conference champion. Gunnar Stockton wins the Heisman. I don't usually see Gunnar Stockton winning the Heisman, so these changes have definitely made something happen. And it was a good G5 conference, or a good G5 bowl game. Memphis versus JMU in the Myrtle Beach Bowl. Isn't Myrtle Beach the best? Okay. CFP bracket. So Boise State did make it in, and they made it in the top 12. Okay, that is something that we wanted to see. Boise State gets the conference champion automatic qualifier, but they're also number 12 in the country, so that's pretty good. I want to look at the rest of the top 25 before we go through the CFP. So they get the 10-point win. UNLV also was on the cusp there, number 15. Tulane, top 20. 21 for, okay, so we have 5 teams in the top 25 out of the G5, and we get the number 12 team in the country into the playoff. Okay, so our changes have worked so far this season. Can Boise State get a victory? Let's remind ourselves of what this bracket looks like before we advance. So Boise State will be playing Michigan in the first round. On the road, that's a tough game to go to Ann Arbor, but they could potentially get that 12-seed victory. That's really what we're looking for. At least one G5 team getting a victory. I think we're going to get one in each season. Texas and BYU. Well, winner takes on Georgia. SMU, Clemson. Winner takes on Texas Tech. Indiana, Missouri. Missouri, first time, or first season conference or college football playoff team is interesting, with the winner taking on USC. Memphis was a loser in Myrtle Beach, but Boise State was a winner in Ann Arbor by 4 points. They're going to take on Miami in the Cotton Bowl. So we've already checked 2 boxes. We got a top 12 team. We got a win from the G5 in the CFP. This is a very, very good start here. BYU, all former G5 team in the Mountain West. Right, they left right before Boise State joined the Mountain West, but BYU is going to take on Georgia after beating Texas in the first round. SMU, another former G5 team, they lose by 3 to Clemson. Clemson is going to take on Texas Tech in the Orange Bowl. And Indiana gets past Missouri by 1. That is an classic Rose Bowl matchup. I don't think Indiana has ever made the Rose Bowl, but it would be a classic Rose Bowl Big Ten Pac-10 matchup. It's now an all Big Ten matchup in the Rose Bowl there. So Boise State, if they can get another win here, this is a destiny video already. USC has been pretty good in our videos recently. Miami is always very good in the video, so it's pretty normal outside of Boise State getting that first round win. All right, so the destiny run finishes. They lose by 11 in the Cotton Bowl to Miami. Miami moves on to play Georgia. Georgia beats BYU by 5. Texas Tech is to win by 8. Indiana smacks USC. We saw Indiana get I think, first year national championship last season, or our last video, I should say. So maybe they can do it again. Other than that, it's pretty chalk. We're not super interested. I'm going to sim through national championship. Okay, Miami gets the home game, national championship game victory. They win 31-23 over Indiana. So ACC is in the lead for the best conference so far, but really what we're looking for is best G5 conferences. Pac-12 has taken the lead in that with Boise State getting a first-round victory. Let's see if we can get another top 12 team or if we can get another win in the G5 or for the G5 in the CFP. Boise State does start in the preseason top 25, number 22 in the country. So can they make a run back to the CFP? They're dropped in ratings for this season, so we'll see if that's able to happen. UTSA also gets some preseason votes. UNLV gets some preseason votes. So there is some momentum going into the next season. Let's go to the first CFP and see if anybody can keep it up. Not a great start for Memphis this season, 4-4. However, in the top 25, we do have UNLV 8-0 currently and making a run towards that top 12. They got couple big wins here. North Texas has been doing pretty good so far. Virginia is a good Power 4 victory. Let's see, what do they have to end the season? San Diego State is a tough game, but they were able to beat them at least once last season that we saw. They have the rivalry game against Hawaii. So not an easy end to the season, but they've got 4 winnable games here that they could potentially go on a nice little run. Tulane was also ranked in the top 25 here, number 22. They have 2 losses, though. They lost at number 4 Duke, not a terrible loss, but then they lost to Jacksonville State game. So if they didn't lose that, they're probably more likely looking at a playoff spot, but they still could win it depending on what happens with UNLV towards the end of the season. Let's look. The American didn't look like it was great this season. UTSA and Memphis both were struggling. Tulsa's the number 1 team in the conference. Who's their one loss to? Lost to at UTSA. So, 10-0 against terrible game. Okay, so Tulsa has the best has the American hopes on its back, but they're not even 70 overall. So, I don't think that that's necessarily a super great thing to look forward to. Conference USA. So Tulane and New Mexico State. Tulane maybe has a chance there. North Texas is pretty good. They lost that game to UNLV, and then they lost big time to Toledo. I thought about moving Toledo out of MAC for that reason because they had pretty high ratings. They killed North Texas. So North Texas, we'll see if they can do it next season for us if Mestamaker sticks around. Mountain West, UNLV obviously is dominating. And then last year's darling, Boise State falls off a little bit, losing some players, I'm sure, to the NFL and the portal. Okay, let's go to the conference championship game, see if UNLV can keep up the undefeated season. Conference championship game. So UNLV was able to keep it up. They're number 12 in the country, win for the second time against Hawaii, and they are in to the college football playoff, probably even higher than the 12 seed with the win there. We'll see. Tulane, number 19. So we got all ranked teams outside of the Sun Belt. Sun Belt we didn't really make any changes to, so I'm not super surprised. But UTSA also is a ranked team yet again after making a pretty good run to the American Championship game last season. Memphis is not good, 7-5, not having a great season here. But we should have another top 12 team this season out of the G5. Back-to-back Heisman trophies for Georgia. It was Gunnar Stockton last season. London Humphreys, the wide receiver, wins this season. So Georgia, who didn't win the national championship game last season, is still doing pretty well. Sheraton Hawaii Bowl for Memphis. That's where you go to have a good time and not to get a good bowl win. So not a great season for Memphis, but they are taking on San Jose State, second straight G5 bowl game. UNLV gets number 8. They get a home game. We get a G5 home game in our second season. Now, this is what we're looking for. G5 home game. Unfortunately for the winner, if UNLV can win this game, they then have to go and play Miami in a home game in the Orange Bowl. So maybe not a better setup, although we're probably going to get the same opponent for the G5 if UNLV gets the win, but they get a home game in the first round. So we've got 2 top 12 teams in the first 2 seasons. We got a win in the first 2 seasons, and we got a home game in the second season. This is really cooking now, folks. And we have, 5 teams in the top 25 going into the college football playoff last season. 1, 2, 3. Boise State must have beaten Oregon State, so we get only 3 in the top 25 this season, but it's made up for by the home game. Let's see if UNLV can pull it off. The Rebs get chomped by the Gators in Vegas. The headline writes itself. Not great. 43-12. So probably more successful in the first season, but more rare to see a G5 home game in a true G5 scenario in CFB 26. So unfortunate. Who won the Miami is the defending national champions. They're number 1 overall. They could clinch the best conference. We're just going to sim through the national championship game because really we're focusing on getting the G5. But we have succeeded in getting 2 different teams in the top 12 from different conferences in the first 2 seasons. Can we do it the third time? But let's see who wins the national championship game. So Georgia then takes over best team in the video after beating Nebraska in the national championship game. Anything interesting happen? SMU got a win in the first round. Miami got their ass kicked, so UNLV shouldn't feel quite as bad for losing that game the way that they did. BYU makes a pretty good run there, but Georgia takes over best team in the video because they get a national championship game and they've had 2 Heisman Trophy winners in the first 2 seasons. So in the last season, what we're looking for is, will Miami or Georgia win again? Can a G5 team get back into the top 12? And could we get a G5 run to the national championship game? That is wishful thinking, but let's see what happens. Nobody in the preseason top 25 from the G5, but we have UTSA getting a little bit of love, UNLV getting a little bit of love. UTSA would be the most interesting team to get a playoff berth this season. They've been pretty good, and it would be different than the first 2, but we'll see if that can actually happen. I was hoping for North Texas. They tend to be pretty good in the third season, but we'll see. Okay, so Memphis is actually 7-1, ranked in the top 20. Ooh, we could be. Okay, we got a couple teams in top 20. UAB surprisingly making a little run up there. So the American is pretty hotly contested. Let's see. Did they get the... So, lost to East Carolina. Can't be having that loss just before the CFP rankings come out as well. So there's a matchup between UTSA and Memphis at the end of the season there. What is UAB looking like? Because they're also in the American. UAB had their loss to Rutgers, so non-conference loss. They also have a matchup against UTSA. So UTSA potentially has 2 top 25 wins left if they can win both of those games. Each of the other 2 teams in the American have potential top 25 wins as well, at least one. That's outside of the American Championship game. UNLV, on the other hand, lost 2 games in a row. So this is a very understandable loss, number 1 overall USC. But you cannot lose that game to Akron by 5 points at home. You cannot lose that game. If you don't lose that game, probably looking at another top 12 team, maybe even another first round bye. So, not amazing, but we have a couple teams with the chance to make a run up. Let's see if there's maybe something we're missing. So UTSA is actually ranked quite a bit higher in the coaches poll. So we'll see how that all shakes out. Boise State just is also receiving votes. Purdue is technically a G5 team at this point, but we don't want them to be one of the teams. So, okay. And Southern Miss is getting votes as well. Okay. So, really, I want to see this UTSA game, UTSA Memphis game. That'll give us a good idea. So, week 12. We're going to go to week 12 and see where things are at. All right. We have a top 20 matchup on our hands. Memphis at number 15. UTSA at number 20. We also see Southern Miss has moved into the top 25 there. But UTSA just lost a previous top 20, well, not quite top 20 matchup, but a top 25 matchup with UAB. So Memphis needs to get this win here to push themselves up toward the top. They could very well be looking at hosting a game as well because they're going to have probably an American Championship game against UAB if they can get this win here. So it's all to play for still. Let's see what the outcome of this game is. Literally just what we were looking to avoid with separating the teams out. So, but we now have 3 top 15 teams. It looks like we're going to get a rematch between UAB and UTSA in the American Championship game. UTSA is probably already in. UAB has one more game to get in. Southern Miss is in top 22. Okay. All right. This all works out. If Memphis would have won, they probably would have been a top 10 team. Oh, UNLV is in the top 12 as well. So we might even get 2. We might even get 2 G5 CFP team. So let's sim to the conference championship games and see what the setup is. What the fuck happened to UNLV the final week of the season? They were so high up. They end up losing, dropping down. We got other top 25 teams. We have a top 10 matchup in the American Championship game, though. Okay, all right. We're making it happen. Okay, so let's see here. Big 12 is the 5th best conference, it looks like. Okay, all right. I don't know what exactly we want to have happen here. I think most of all we want it to be a close game. This game is at UAB because they got the win earlier in the season. All right, well, fucking UNLV. We could have easily had 2 teams. Who did they lose to at the end of the season? We got to go see what UNLV just did because they fucked up. We had this exactly as we wanted it. We have so many teams. What happened? They lost. Okay, so they beat Arizona State earlier in the season. They lost a non-conference game at Nevada. Nevada, who needed that game to get bowl eligible. UNLV, you would be in the playoffs for a second straight season if you just could have pulled off that game. Oh my God. All right, let's sim the conference championship games. Let's see what happens in the American Conference Championship game. We very well could have 2 teams in from the same conference, and we haven't had an American team in yet. So either way, we're going to accomplish what the goal was, which was 3 years of 3 different teams from 3 different G5 conferences making it in the college football playoff, all from the top 12, which wasn't even a requirement, but all of them will be from the top 12, regardless of what happens here. And we get a Colorado quarterback as the 3rd Heisman, Tavian St. Clair. He probably is a real quarterback, but I don't know. He's a backup somewhere at this point in real life, but he gets the Heisman Trophy for Colorado. Memphis makes it to the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl. They're number 13, so they almost made it in as well. I have yet to see what happened in that American Championship game, so we gotta go see this bracket. And it happened. Let's go, folks. Okay, so we get 2 G5 teams, both teams that were in the American Championship game. 4 different G5 teams made it in 3 seasons. From 3 different conferences, 2 from the same conference in the final season. Memphis was also at 13 on the outside looking in. These were not 2 of the teams that we expected. We talked about Boise State, we talked about UNLV, but we definitely didn't talk about UTSA, and we definitely didn't talk about UAB. So this is quite a thing. Not only do we get 2 in this time, we get another host. The Alamo Bowl is hosting a college football playoff game against the Heisman Trophy winner in Colorado. UAB is going on the road to what Coliseum? Yeah, the Coliseum. And they potentially might be facing off against Miami. So 3 straight seasons Miami had a potential second round opponent of a G5 team. Michigan was Boise State's opponent in the first season who they beat. And yeah, and Florida jumped over our other G5 team from the SEC. So Texas must have been in the SEC championship game, lost to Florida, and both teams make it. So, interesting. Okay, well, this is interesting. Let's see what happens. Actually, first, let's look at this top 25, because this is pretty good. So we get UTSA at number 7. They get to host a game in the first round. UAB just outside of the top 10. Memphis just outside of the top 12 gets jumped over. They, of course, had this victory against Arizona State early on in the snow. Is it? I don't remember. Southern Miss is in the top 20, and then UNLV, who should have also been in the playoff, probably also would. Yes, that's the thing. UNLV doesn't lose to Nevada at the end of the season. UNLV is the Mountain West Conference champion in over Florida. We would have had 3 if UNLV didn't lose that game. I think that this setup, if we were to do it another season, who knows? We'll see what happens. I think that we're looking at top 5 G5 teams next season. God damn it. Don't get any victories out of the 2. So we have only had 1 G5 victory in the video in the college football playoff. UTSA was close, but they couldn't quite take down Colorado. UAB kind of gets mopped up by USC. All right, let's do one more season. Memphis ended up losing the Tax Slayer Bowl. Michigan ends up winning the national championship over Penn State in all Big Ten one. I don't really know who the best team in our best team or best conference in the video is so far. We're going to do one more season, see if we can get anybody near the top for the G5. So UTSA starts ranked in the top 25 in the preseason top 25. They're number 24. Memphis is getting some votes. UAB is getting some votes. San Diego State is getting some votes. So we have a few teams at the top. We haven't really seen San Diego State do anything besides get a victory over Boise State in the first year, which Boise State was the 12th team. Anyway, Memphis is pretty good this year. Memphis is like high 70s ratings this year. So they very well could be on their way to making something happen. And we get a UTSA game, first game in the season. That is not a great thing for the conference. But, okay, it might not be the worst thing in the world because they'll get that out of the way and they get... Anyway, we'll send to the first CFP. So really why I wanted to do this additional season is because Memphis was pulling down some big recruits, 4-star recruits. They end up with 3 losses, I think, at this point. UTSA has been pretty good, but they ended up losing 2 non-conference games to big Texas opponents, Texas and TCU. TCU is probably going to make college football playoff. They did end up winning that Memphis game, though, so they're number 19 in the country. Definitely still could make a run to the end of the season. The UAB game is still going to be a big game because it's probably going to be a top 20 matchup by the time they get to that point, with UAB being number 22 in the country currently. Those are our 2 ranked teams. Let's see, are in the CFP. Let's see the coaches poll if they're getting any more love. Toledo is currently ranked. Okay, so that could be something. Delaware was in the top 20. They just lost and fell out. Boise State's in the top 25. Okay, so there is some things going on here. It's just the first CFP is a little bit harsher on G5. So we'll go to the conference championship game, see kind of what's happening. Okay, so it's kind of interesting. So Boise State looks like they're probably going to be the G5 representative. UTSA might be able to make it in. But Memphis is currently the highest ranked G5 team, I think, even though they're not in the American Championship game between UTSA and Tulsa. And they're probably the highest rated G5 team as well. Toledo was in the top 25, but they fell out. Or maybe they just never made it into the CFP top 25. Okay, let's take a look at these conference standings. So UAB is also in top 20. Okay, let's look at the top 25 and see if there's anything that we're missing maybe. Nope, Memphis is the top G5 team. There's 4 of them in a row right there. Some classic college football playoff committee rankings. Okay, so I don't think Memphis has a chance to make it in. Looks like Boise State, the winner of this game probably is the one that makes it in out of the G5. We'll see what else happens. I didn't see if there was any other way that we could get 2 in. Yeah, all of the other conference championship games have, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, all the Power 4 have 2 ranked teams. Probably make it in either way. Okay, so let's just see who ends up making it in. Maybe we can get a victory in this final season. I was really hoping that Memphis could pull it together, but of course they can't do that for me. We get another Colorado quarterback, this time playing for Clemson, with Julian Lewis winning the Heisman Trophy in the final year of our sim here. We're going 4 years. So another Gator Bowl for Memphis, the number 16 in the country. Really successful, honestly, for Memphis, but they never quite make it to the CFP. Let's see who did make it in for us. So Boise State makes it back into the CFP, kind of as predicted. They're going to take on Oregon in the first round. So they might get another victory for us here, but this is kind of a disappointing 4th season. I was really hoping that we would get the crescendo that we were looking for. Who knows? It still might happen. Who ended up winning the American Championship? So UTSA, it looks like, ended up winning the American Championship. If only Memphis could have been in there. Oh well. Let's sim and see what happens with Boise State. They get killed in the final season. This was by far the most disappointing season because every other season that we had, the G5 teams that made it from being top 12 teams. This is the only time where we had to use the conference championship automatic qualifier. The only year that they get absolutely a couple years ago, they got absolutely killed. Boise State did get us our only win of the video, but they end up losing it at the end for us. Interestingly, that we got another Big 12 championship game rematch between 2 former Mountain West opponents in BYU, TCU. Let's sim to the rest of the season. Let's see if maybe Memphis can pull off a Gator Bowl win. All right, all in all, a disappointing end to the video, but very, very impressive. video. I like the way that we did this setup. I'm going to try to get more things like this happening. We're going to get a G5 national championship in a 3-season sim before College Football 27. That's my goal. We're going to get that before College Football 27, hopefully before that. BYU ends up getting the victory at the end. Don't really ever see a BYU national championship. They beat Texas A&M. This seems like a very unlikely national championship. But, of course, they make that happen in the end. I don't know who's the best team. I don't know who's the best video. The best team for us was probably either UTSA or Boise State. Probably ends up going to Boise State, but UTSA did get a home game. They were a top 7 team. So, pretty impressive season, and they probably should have made it back this season with their victory in the American Championship game. But that's all we got for you. We will see you next week. If I don't see you before Christmas, Merry Christmas to you.